Hello everyone, my name is Wayne.
And I'm Rebecca.
And we are your Bourbon Journey.
Welcome to episode 22 of Bourbon Trail Tales and Tastes. We're taking you all the way to Spring Valley, California today for our 27th distillery, which was Mike Curphy Distillery. That sounds interesting. How did we end up doing that?
Well, it started with a planned trip to go visit my sister in California for Thanksgiving. And just before we went on the trip, the Padres and the Dodgers were playing in the playoffs, and there was a bottle of bourbon that was made by a distillery in Spring Valley that was commemorating the goose that had landed on the field in Dodger Stadium.
The rally goose.
The rally goose. And they were going to release 500 bottles, and they're going to be releasing them the day that we were going to be in San Diego. So being a Padre fan, having grown up in the area, we decided we were going to go down to the distillery, which was going to be open at 5 p.m.
We just couldn't resist the opportunity. So we had t-shirts and everything, so it's like, we got to get that bottle.
Oh yeah. So we drive down to this industrial complex in Spring Valley, and we start driving around, and we're trying to find the address. We're really struggling.
Because everything seems closed.
Yeah, everything seemed closed.
And it was the day after Thanksgiving.
Yes.
So it's not like, so we were like, oh my gosh, they really closed today because it's the day after Thanksgiving.
Yeah. So as we're driving in the parking lot trying to find this place, we noticed out of the corner of our eye, there was this one building that the door was up and the lights were on. And I made the comment to you saying, I swear there were bottles in there.
There's like a case of bottles. I'm like, yeah, I think I saw bottles too.
So we finally figured the address, walked over, and the place was closed. All right, well.
And we knew we were at the right spot because it had labels. We could see bottles in there, so we knew they just were not open for the day after Thanksgiving.
Yeah.
So
we decided to go ahead and walk over to the place that was open just to even ask them about it. And this is where we met this gentleman, Mike Curphy. And he told us that to his knowledge, they were supposed to be open. So he had no idea what was going on. But we're here. We walked into a place that has moonshine, that has bourbon, that has single malt, and it has rye. Well, you've now piqued our curiosity.
Oh yeah. So the other thing I really enjoyed about the visit was it was just us, right? There was nobody else in there. And so we just sat at their little bar and did a bunch of tastings with him and had a good time. And we said, can we like see the still and see everything else that's going on? And he, sure, let's go. And he closed the door. We went to the back room and got to see the still. And he talked about how he does everything himself, including the malting process. We know some pretty good sized distillers that don't do their own malting because it can be challenging, but he does it on cookie sheets and home in his oven, right? So he talked about that, which was pretty cool for us. And we're going to taste this in a minute. And that was probably the first single malt we ever tasted. That was, an American single malt, so to speak. And we also, what we're not tasting today, we also purchased their bourbon, which I thought was pretty good. And they had a rye, and it was our first time tasting a rye that was 100% rye.
Yes.
And so that was pretty interesting too. So, because he did some malting with it to make it 100% rye mash bill. So anyway, I just want to share a little bit about that because we just had so much fun talking with him. And one other thing, and I probably should have pulled it out for our video today, but the other, and we were flying back, of course, so we had to figure out how we could get all this stuff back. Yeah. But he sold ornaments.
Yes. I was wondering if you were going to talk about this.
Ornaments that were filled with flavored moonshine. And he said, the trick is you put the moonshine ornaments on the tree when you're decorating, but you don't, if you have a friend come over, you can have them pick one off the tree and they can drink it. But the best time to drink it is when you're taking the tree down and you're all depressed about taking the tree down. Take one down, drink an ornament, and then rest a little bit, and then take one down, drink another ornament. So we certainly did that. It was really a good time. And every time we pulled an ornament down, we thought about Mike. So it's pretty cool.
Yes, we did. And his moonshine was outstanding. Quick note, the one that impressed me the most was the watermelon.
I was going to say it was the watermelon.
The watermelon, because it tasted like the rind. And most time I've had watermelon, it's not been pleasant. His stuff was absolutely outstanding. So with all that said, let's get into this bottle.
Yeah, look, we had to pick one because we didn't want to do all three. So we picked this one. Let me tell you a little bit about it. This is called Uisage-Beatha, the water of life. It is a single malt whiskey made by Mike Curphy Distillery. He only ages it 6 months. Its proof is 80, and it was released in 2022. On November 25th of 2022, we bought this for $79.95 at the Mike Curphy Distillery. And so I'm pretty excited about it to taste it again. We had it a couple of times. You can see we had some of it. I pulled all the bottles before we did this, and we picked this one because we haven't done a single malt in a bit, and it's the most unusual one. And I think the story he told about this one too when we were talking with him was that, you know, this is something his dad made.
Yes.
And his grandfather made. And this is a recipe that was passed down. Some of the other things he kind of created on his own, but he's multi-generational. He was from Michigan, as I believe.
Yes. He started also moonshining at the age of 15.
Yeah.
And I believe, if I remember the story correctly, the recipe that he told us was about 150 years old.
Yeah. And this was the first one that he really brought with him. You know, that was a big one for as far as that goes. So that's why we decided to pick this one today and see what we think about it. Today, we now enjoy American single malts pretty well. So I'm curious to see how it stands up.
And it's a really good point. Thinking back on this is the first single malt we ever purchased.
Yeah.
American single malt. We knew at the time nothing about it. The places that we had gone on the trail to that point, I don't think it offered it.
No.
So this was one of the reasons we purchased it was the fact that it was the first time.
And that's one of the other reasons we selected for today out of the three, even though the rye is pretty fascinating too. But this was so unique for us. It was our very first ever American single malt. So why not share that on our trail journey? So that's a lot about the tail. Let's have some of the taste now.
Okay.
See how it looks. It's very golden color. As I mentioned, it was only aged for 6 months. He felt that it was this particular is called like a very young malt, so to speak, but it's got some legs on it. Look at that. It's already forming legs on my glass.
Well, I've got a rim on mine. Like I said, I
look
was in
at this.
trouble.
I mean, it's just, it's totally got legs.
Yeah, I think mine went
That's
too big. I
pretty
swirled
amazing.
it too much.
Yeah, you have to be patient.
Yeah,
If you keep swirling, the legs will not form. So, well, let's take a gander at the nose. Oh, it smells so good.
Oh, it's
It doesn't remind me of any single malt that I've been tasting.
It's got that sort of peatiness that you'd expect.
I've got a real sweet note and almost a fruit note on it. Wow, it's kind of close to a bourbon on the nose. It's kind of interesting for me. Nothing spicy coming through on the nose for me. Wow, when I first picked it up, there was something right on the tip of my tongue that I was smelling, and now I can't place what that is.
For me, I'm almost getting a baking spice. Because there's a sweetness there with the peatiness.
It's like a very light caramel. Almost like a Werther's caramel. You know, like a Werther's more than a caramel, which means it's got a little bit of butterscotch hint to it. I'm ready to dive in. It's been probably 3 years since we've tried it, so at least 2.
Yep.
So, cheers to Mike Curphy and your single malt whiskey.
Cheers, Mike.
I can see why we bought it.
There's a bourbon-esque type flavor. You can tell it's a single malt. There's that little bit of peatiness there.
And maltiness. The malt is really coming through because it's 100% malt.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's definitely malt, but it's not obnoxious.
And again, remember, he malted everything in his oven at home on cookie sheets. So I just keep thinking about that.
Yeah, he was somebody, if I remember the story correctly, he had worked aerospace, which I believe he worked General Dynamics, which was a big company in San Diego from the 40s to 50s to about the early 90s before it finally shut down.
I think he was brought to San Diego via the military.
Yes.
And then he went to work for General Dynamics and worked in aerospace for many years, and then decided to pick up his family trade, which was making whiskey. So it was a great evening. I call it the accidental distillery visit because we weren't looking for him. We didn't know about him. We didn't get what we came for, but my gut is what we bought was probably 100% better than the
Yeah,
other
I
place
agree. Because I mean, the
we were buying it for a gimmick. This is really good.
This is actually legitimate stuff. The other thing he also has, we have it in our other room.
I'm loving this.
Was his moonshine.
Mm-hmm.
And do you remember what he called the moonshine?
I do not.
It was panty drop.
Oh yes.
And he said because if you had a couple hits of the moonshine, your panties would drop.
Or if you had a date, you'd give it to your date, and then her panties would drop.
Would drop.
He talked about that too.
I mean, this guy was just funny.
We just had a blast.
You know, the pictures that we were showing of him, he was just a classic looking, what I would consider to be one of the people you would see in the TV show Moonshiners look, and
super smart,
very smart.
I mean, cagey smart. I mean, you know, he was in the military and then worked in aerospace for all those years, and then kept all these recipes in his head and everything. And he won tons of awards too. So many award-winning things in the state of California. Lots of gold medals. I think this had won a gold medal. Mm-hmm. His bourbon did as well, and so did his rye. And his moonshine won over and over again. He had a sipping cream too, but his flavored moonshines won frequently. But you know, we're more into the spirits. But are you getting a light butterscotch, almost a Werther's note like I am?
Just a tad.
It's 80 proof, which goes kind of is historic with how a lot of Scotch whiskeys are around 80 proof, so I understand why it is that. So it's light, refreshing, maybe a hint of citrus.
I would buy that. I think there's also a little bit of cinnamon.
Yeah, I was thinking nutmeg, but I can see where you're getting cinnamon.
It's interesting because a lot of the times when we have tasted single malt, we usually tend to get just a couple things with it. There's a lot of lanes with this. This would be something I think a Scotch drinker would really like.
And I'm going to say I picked these glasses today, Vincent, if you're watching, because I know you love Scotch. And we were figuring out some pours to do, and I said I'm going to use the Owensboro Bourbon Society glasses today because that's to pay homage to you, Vincent, because we were doing an American single malt. So there you go.
Yeah.
I definitely want you to taste this because we had forgotten how great it was. I'm just saying.
Yeah.
It's our only bottle we have. I am getting that Werther's. It's got fantastic legs. So for a young, single malt whiskey that's only aged at 6 months, it's got a lot of viscosity, and it's got some layers. Like we said, it has that butterscotch, it's a very light butterscotch. It's not like OCD premium butterscotch, right? But it's you just know it's like you have a light Werther's candy in your mouth, and then it's got a little bit of that. For me, it's more like a nutmeg, and it's got a decent finish too. It's very light finish, but it's not short. I hope that makes sense, because you think about, you really feel a long finish. But while Wayne was talking earlier, I hadn't taken a sip, and it was just staying present. And it's very light and almost sweet but warm, very light warm, but it doesn't go away. So it has a long finish, even though it's not banging you with it. And it's just incredibly pleasant.
Well, for an 80 proof, there is a lot on this thing.
Well, he's got his family recipe here, and he probably knows exactly what he was doing, and it's just great the way it is. And it's one that doesn't age long. That's how it was created. Probably back in the moonshine days, they weren't wanting to have stuff that stay around very long. Yep. So I think it's terrific. Now, the only sad thing is we believe the distillery has closed.
Yes, we had,
and he was retiring.
Yeah, and there was a story about a year ago that, and it may have been on Instagram, I'm not sure, that he was putting the place up for sale because he was at an age where he was about ready to kind of get out. And while his webpage is still active, it acts up a little bit.
Yeah, you can't get pictures to load. It's kind of challenging.
Based on some of the profile comments and things that we been able to find, last comment we saw from anybody that had been there was about 6 or 7 months ago. And so I attempted to call yesterday, but it was a little bit early, so calls just went to voicemail, and I didn't leave a message. So
some research I did said that his distillery license would expire in June of this year.
Okay.
So, but we saw one other post that said they thought he was moving to San Marcos, which is north end of San Diego County. We don't know for sure. We hope he's still going to keep doing it a little bit, but he won't be at that location. But we just feel very blessed that he was at that location in 2022, and we accidentally found him and these great spirits that he's made. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I just feel very fortunate to have these.
Yes, and it was, like I said, it was a trip that kind of went sideways, and it ended up working out for the better. And he was an enjoyable guy. We were there for between 2 to 3 hours.
Yes, we were almost late to meeting friends for dinner.
It was about 5:15 or so that we got there. I think we left at maybe 7:30, 7:40. We were supposed to meet some friends at 8 o'clock. It was a very memorable night. And Mike was a very terrific guy and a host. And one last story that I remember with him is he was talking about the fact that in the back, and I don't remember, it may have been one of his bourbons, that he had a barrel that he was basically developing for Jeff Probst from Survivor.
Yes.
And I cannot remember all the specifics of it.
Yeah, it was something that Jeff Probst had come in, kind of like wandered in by accident, kind of like we did. And he ended up spending hours with Jeff Probst just talking about his stuff. And then he kind of made some requests for age and things, and he was actually aging a bourbon barrel for him.
Yeah, and it was in the back, and if I remember correctly, I think we actually saw the barrel because there was a few back there. So
I'm sure Jeff Probst, you're watching, so let us know if you got that.
Yeah, Jeff, because we know that you're really hooked into what we do. But anyway, it was an outstanding visit. I really hope that, I hope he's doing well.
Yes.
Hope everything is okay. If you're watching, if it's somebody that kind of maybe is from San Diego or maybe knows a little bit, let us know what's going on. I probably will attempt to make a couple more calls this week at better times and see if I can get a hold and just say hi, because this is really a good one. And I will be honest, if there were a possibility of buying a second bottle, I would buy a second bottle of this.
I would buy a couple other things if they could ship here. I would definitely do that.
Yeah, and it's funny because this is a glass top.
Yeah, and his other bottles do not have a glass top, but this one actually comes off easily.
Yeah. It's a glass top. It's a very sturdy bottle. Very well done. So anyway, with that said, Mike Curphy out there, if you're out there, hope all is well. It was a wonderful night and a wonderful memory meeting you. This is a fantastic single malt, and it is very enjoyable. God bless you. If you like what we do, please hit the subscribe button. Always remember to drink responsibly. Cheers.
Cheers.